Most people will feel this shift after it has already moved through them. You will feel it before the headlines, before the conversations, and before the external proof arrives. On May 6th, at 3:34 p.m. Eastern Time, something ancient appears to stop in the sky. Pluto, the planet linked with buried power, hidden systems, endings, rebirth, and the machinery beneath appearances, stations retrograde in Aquarius. That phrase sounds technical. It is not. It is a pressure door opening beneath the floorboards of your life. What was silent begins to speak. What was hidden begins to pulse. What you tolerated begins to feel impossible to carry. Many will dismiss this as another date on a calendar. Many will scroll past the signal. Many will call their own discomfort random. But you were meant to hear this now, because your instincts already notice the tremor, the unusual fatigue, the vivid dreams, the sense that familiar rooms suddenly hold different energy. The body often detects what the mind has not named. Before this window closes, you will understand three things. First, what this event is and why this phase of Pluto in Aquarius belongs to a once-in-generations restructuring cycle. Second, which 6 signs are pulled closest to the furnace, and what this transit demands from them. Third, the exact practice that turns this from disruption into direction. Listen carefully. This one does not arrive loudly. It arrives surgically. Pluto does not knock, it enters through the cracks. Retrograde does not always remove things. Sometimes it reveals the wiring behind them. Aquarius governs networks, technology, collectives, social identity, future systems, and the patterns linking the individual to the crowd. Pluto moving backward here asks one severe question. Where have you surrendered power to systems that no longer deserve it? Where have you mistaken connection for dependency? Where have you accepted noise as truth? This is not only global, it is intimate. It can touch your schedule, your habits, your friendships, your digital life, your sense of belonging, your private definition of freedom. You may already feel the first signs. Restless sleep, pressure in the chest, jaw tension, sudden emotional memories, waves of focus followed by exhaustion, the urge to isolate and then reconnect on different terms. None of this is random in the language of symbol and psyche. Something underneath you is rearranging. Not gently. Not with warning. With precision, and the reason it matters now is simple. When Pluto stations, the motion appears to slow almost to stillness. In symbolic timing, stillness concentrates force. Imagine a river narrowing through stone. Imagine a storm pausing before landfall. Imagine a locked vault clicking open in the dark. That is the atmosphere around this date. You are not here by accident. You are here because some part of you is ready to stop living on borrowed instructions. Stay with this, because the next layer reveals why the discomfort you feel may be the first proof that liberation has already begun. Pluto retrogrades every year, but this is not an ordinary repetition. The backdrop matters. Pluto has only recently entered Aquarius in the larger arc of history, beginning a transit that stretches through the coming decades. The last era Pluto occupied Aquarius aligned with revolutions that shattered inherited structures and rewrote ideas of citizenship, rights, collective power, and the relationship between the individual and the state. When symbols repeat, they do not clone history, they rhyme with it, they reactivate themes in new forms. In earlier centuries, power moved through crowns, armies, and printed decrees. In your era, power moves through algorithms, platforms, data streams, networks, narratives, and invisible systems deciding what is amplified and what is buried. Different tools, similar stakes. Pluto in Aquarius does not ask whether systems exist. It asks who they serve. It asks what they cost. It asks whether you are participating consciously or being processed unconsciously. During a station retrograde, These questions turn inward. Instead of only examining society, you examine the micro-society of your own life. Your routines, your loyalties, your dependencies, your patterns of self-erasure, your appetite for approval, your habit of over-explaining, your silence in rooms where your truth should have spoken. This is why the energy can feel heavy and clarifying at the same time. Something false may weaken, something real may strengthen. And because the sun is in Taurus during this window, there is tension between stability and transformation. One part of you wants peace, predictability, familiar comforts, a known map. Another part knows the map is outdated. Taurus can cling to what feels safe. Pluto can expose that safety was expensive. The friction between those impulses can show up as indecision, irritability, body fatigue, sudden resistance, or a deep need to simplify. Then there is Uranus, newly active in Gemini themes, adding electrical movement around communication, information, devices, transport, learning, and mental speed. That can feel like overstimulation. Too many tabs open externally and internally. Too many voices, too many signals. This is why discernment becomes medicine. You do not need more input. You need cleaner input. You do not need more reactions. You need a steadier center. Remember this line because it will matter later. The opposite of manipulation is not rebellion. It is clarity. The opposite of chaos is not control. It is alignment. If your life has felt strangely crowded by obligations that no longer fit, if your nervous system has been buzzing without visible cause, if certain friendships suddenly feel performative, if your own ambitions feel ready for an upgrade you cannot yet describe, you are already inside the corridor of this transit. The old version of power says grip harder. The new version says choose better. The old version says impress them. The new version says know yourself. The old version says stay where you are tolerated. The new version says move where you are honored. Pluto retrograde in Aquarius can begin as discomfort and end as sovereignty. But first, it tends to show you the exact valves where your life force has been leaking. That is why the next phase matters. Some signs feel this as weather. 6 signs feel it as destiny pressing at the door. If you are Aquarius, this is personal. Pluto is moving through your sign, which means the architecture of identity itself is under review. Not your hairstyle, not your branding, your deeper identity, the role you play automatically, the personality strategies built for survival, the image you learned to maintain so others stayed comfortable. During this retrograde, you may feel pulled away from shallow participation and toward radical honesty. You may lose patience with versions of yourself that once functioned perfectly. That impatience is not failure, it is evidence of growth. Watch for tension between wanting freedom and fearing visibility. Watch for the temptation to disappear instead of evolve. Your task is to become more real, not more hidden. This can affect friendships, group memberships, public presence, and long-range goals. If a dream once inspired you, but now feels borrowed, let it go. If a room once fit you, but now feels too small, honor that truth. Your nervous system may ask for more solitude than usual. Give it space. Identity upgrades happen quietly before they become obvious externally. Trust the invisible phase. Trust the shedding. Trust the strange sensation that you are both ending and beginning at once. If you are Leo, this energy arrives through mirrors. Aquarius opposes Leo, so relationships become the field where deeper truths surface. Partners, friends, collaborators, rivals, and audiences may reflect dynamics you can no longer ignore. Where do you overperform to be loved? Where do you confuse admiration with intimacy? Where do you shrink your needs to keep peace? Pluto retrograde can expose contracts that were never equal. It can reveal hidden resentment under polished exchanges. It can show where charisma became armor. This does not mean every bond collapses. It means every bond asks for truth. Some relationships deepen through honesty. Some fade through avoidance. Your work is courage with warmth. Speak directly. Ask directly. Receive directly. You do not need to dominate the room. You need to stop abandoning yourself inside it. If sudden attention arrives, use it wisely. If sudden rejection appears, examine what it liberates. Visibility is not the prize this season. Integrity is. If you are Taurus, the pressure lands on security, career, reputation, and structures you depend on. The sun in Taurus during this window intensifies the feeling. You may want calm while life asks for recalibration. You may crave certainty while hidden variables emerge. This can look like changes at work, dissatisfaction with old goals, a need to update your finances, or a realization that comfort has become stagnant. Taurus energy builds patiently, but even strong foundations need renovation when the wiring is old. Pluto retrograde does not necessarily remove your stability. It may reveal a stronger version of it. If you feel irritated by delays, ask whether the delay is protecting you from a rushed decision. If you feel restless in success, ask whether the definition of success expired. Your medicine is flexibility with self-respect. Keep what is solid. Release what is heavy. Security that costs your aliveness is too expensive. If you are Scorpio, you know transformation language instinctively, but that does not make it easy. This transit can stir family patterns, emotional control themes, trust issues, home life dynamics, and roots that still shape present behavior. You may notice old memories surfacing without invitation. You may feel protective, suspicious, intense, or unusually private. Do not mistake resurfacing material for regression. Buried content rises because it is ready to be metabolized. The hidden basement is opening. What lives there needs air. This is powerful for healing lineage patterns. Renegotiating boundaries with relatives, changing your home environment, or releasing emotional debts you never chose. Your strength here is depth without self-punishment. You do not need to relive every wound to outgrow it. Sometimes healing is simpler. Name the pattern. Refuse to repeat it. Build differently. If you are Gemini, this may arrive through contracts, learning, travel, publishing, media channels, and the stories guiding your future. With Uranian tones stirring the mental field, your mind may move quickly, faster than usual. Ideas can strike like lightning. So can anxiety. Pluto retrograde asks which beliefs are yours and which were inherited, absorbed, or downloaded from the loudest source nearby. You may outgrow old worldviews, educational paths, content diets, messaging habits, or plans based on outdated assumptions. A sudden opportunity to teach, write, relocate, launch a platform, or sign a meaningful agreement may expose where you still doubt your authority. This is excellent for deep study, strategic writing, meaningful conversations, and upgrading your mental ecosystem. But beware fragmentation. Intelligence scattered everywhere can feel like power while producing nothing. Choose one signal over 10 distractions. Your next chapter may begin with one sentence you finally allow yourself to believe. If you are Virgo, the rewiring can target habits, health rhythms, work systems, service roles, and the invisible labor you carry without acknowledgement. Pluto in Aquarius can reveal where efficiency became self-neglect, where competence became a trap, where being useful replaced being fulfilled. If your body has been asking for different pacing, listen now. If your calendar feels like a machine consuming you, edit it ruthlessly. This is not laziness, it is strategic conservation of life force. You are allowed to design systems that support you rather than merely extract from you. This can include changing workflows, renegotiating responsibilities, upgrading nutrition, protecting sleep, or refusing unpaid emotional labor. Small changes now can create enormous relief later. New routines, cleaner digital boundaries, less reactive communication, more honest prioritization. Precision is your gift. Aim it at liberation, not only productivity. Even if your sign was not named, you are not excluded. Astrology describes emphasis, not worth. Every sign receives a signal. The question is where you are willing to hear it. And now comes the most practical part of this window. What must be avoided while the underground shift is active? First, avoid power struggles. If someone wants chaos more than resolution, stepping back can be stronger than winning. Second, avoid revenge decisions. Actions born from poison often extend the poison. Third, avoid obsessive monitoring of other people. Surveillance is not intimacy. Control is not safety. Fourth, avoid impulsive exits. Not every discomfort means running. Some discomfort means renegotiate. Fifth, avoid public meltdowns engineered by private exhaustion. Rest before reaction. Sixth, avoid signing agreements from fear. Scarcity can distort judgment. Seventh, avoid doom scrolling, algorithm addiction, and conspiracy spirals. Pluto's symbolism can attract obsession with hidden forces, while Aquarius can disguise manipulation as information. Discernment matters more than fascination. Eighth, avoid false community bonds built only on outrage, gossip, or shared enemies. Ninth, avoid ignoring burnout signals. The body whispers before it shuts systems down. Chest tightness, jaw clenching, insomnia, headaches, sudden fatigue, digestive irregularity, emotional numbness. All can be requests for recalibration. 10th, avoid pretending you feel nothing. Emotional anesthesia is expensive over time. 11th, avoid clinging to expired identities because they once protected you. This is crucial. Some people do not suffer because life changed. They suffer because they insist on remaining the same, while everything true asks them to evolve. During this retrograde, the instinct to grip may intensify. Grip less, observe more, choose carefully. If conflict erupts, ask what structure underneath it was already unstable. If anxiety rises, ask what truth it once acknowledged. If loneliness appears, ask whether you are between communities, rather than abandoned by them. If boredom appears, ask whether your soul has outgrown repetition. Every symptom can become information when you stop treating it only as interruption. This is how the hidden shift becomes visible. Not through spectacle, through patterns, through repetition, through the same lesson arriving in different clothing until you finally recognize it. And once recognized, it can be changed. Stay with me, because the final truth of this transit is where many people miss the doorway entirely. Now the ritual. Keep it simple. Power returns through simple acts repeated with intention. Turn off notifications for 1 full hour. Not half attention. Full silence. Then take a page and write 2 lines. First, what system in my life drains power? Second, what habit restores power? Be specific. A draining system may be endless comparison, overcommitting, reactive messaging, poor sleep timing, clutter, gossip, financial avoidance, constant availability. A restoring habit may be walking, prayer, journaling, reading, strength training, breath work, direct communication, creative focus, earlier sleep, honest budgeting, digital boundaries. After writing, delete or unsubscribe from one draining input immediately. 1 account, 1 newsletter, 1 thread, 1 source of static. Then clean a hidden space in your home, a drawer, a shelf, under the bed, behind a door. Symbol matters. When you clear hidden spaces externally, the psyche often follows internally. Then, sit in silence for 6 minutes. Ask one question only. Where am I giving power away? Do not force an answer. Let it rise. It may come as a memory, a face, a habit, a sentence, a contract, a fear. Finally, choose one concrete boundary and enact it within 24 hours. Send the message, decline the request. Adjust the schedule. Close the tab. Cancel the auto-renewal. Raise the standard. This ritual works because it translates cosmic symbolism into embodied agency. The sky can symbolize timing, but your choices build reality. That distinction matters. You are not being controlled by a planet. You are being invited by a moment. So here's the final truth of Pluto retrograde. In Aquarius, the underground shift is not arriving to destroy you. It is arriving to expose what has quietly drained you. It is arriving to show where your future cannot fit inside your old design. It is arriving to separate connection from dependency, intelligence from noise, loyalty from self-betrayal, stability from stagnation. What leaves now may have been blocking your next decade. What frustrates you now may be redirecting your next chapter. What feels like an ending may simply be the collapse of a false arrangement. Some viewers will ignore this window and call the next few months random. You will recognize the pattern. You will notice what repeats. You will track what energizes and what depletes. You will stop volunteering your life force to structures that do not honor it. When the chest softens, when the jaw unclenches, when sleep returns, you may realize the shift was never punishing you. It was freeing you. That is how rewiring begins. Quietly, privately, repeatedly. If this message found you at the right moment, take it seriously. Choose one change before this day ends. One honest conversation, one boundary, one removal, one recommitment. The era of unconscious participation is closing. The era of deliberate power is opening, and somewhere beneath the visible surface, you already know exactly where to begin